Welcome back to Nano Education. In this video, we will have an overview of JavaScript files, and I will introduce to you on how to write your very own first JavaScript line. So let's get started. So there's a total of 3 ways to write JavaScript. So you can write it inline JavaScript with an event listener assigned directly to the element, so you get to write directly inside the HTML file. Inside the script tags, so just like CSS, you insert script tags to write JavaScript right in your HTML file. Or your third option, just like CSS as well, is that you can write JavaScript in a separate file, but then add the link to the HTML file. So here's the inline JavaScript looks like. So let me point out some key points. The onClick, right, is the event. Alright, so it's the event. Now what we're telling it to do is that when, let's just say this button right here, so it says click. So when someone clicks that button, we want to run, so we're going to run this code right here. So this block of code will run when this button is clicked. Alright? Very simple so far. And this is inside of HTML because of the body tags, alright? Now you can write also inside script tags. So, basically what it's showing here is that when you open the file, because there's no event happening, so whenever you open the file, which is whatever this is, let's say it's index.html, so when someone visits index.html, it will output immediately an alert 1, 2, 3. But we don't know what it is so far. Alright? But all we know is that when we visit it, this block of code will run. And that's all we know. Now, you can also create a separate JS file. So inside of your HTML file, we are linking. So we're basically telling that look for a source file, meaning that it is located inside of app.js, so look for an app.js in the current directory. Because, here's how the directories work. If you have directly the file name, it's located in the same directory, like in the same folder. But, you can also write it like this. This also means it's inside the same directory. But let's just say your JS or your JavaScript file was inside a folder called JS and then in app.js. Well, you will link to it just like this. You will put it like that. Here, not there. Here, if it was the situation. But right now, we're in the same directory. That's why we link it like that. And then your JavaScript file is doing the same block of code we've been talking about. Very interesting. So let's move on. So, this is a question that you might actually find yourself asking yourself or just looking up. What is the best way to write it? Which way is the best way to write JS? Like JavaScript, what's the best way to write it? Well, actually, there's no better way. You can get better and better at stuff, but there's no better way. Because the most common way of writing JavaScript is to keep the HTML and JavaScript separate. So just like CSS, you want also keep your JavaScript separate. Alright? So it's to keep the HTML and JavaScript separate. Well, writing inline JavaScript looks easy and can be achieved easily by a beginner. And let me remind you what inline was. So it was that button. Alright? With that onClick, which had an equal sign, quotes, which said to alert 1, 2, 3. We were in that. Alright, so that what is what I'm talking about. And then you'll obviously end the tag. So this is inline, alright? So that looks easy for a beginner. Definitely this looks a lot easy for such a beginner. But a separate JS file gives you the opportunity to have a file that has all of your JavaScript. So basically, let's just say you want to check an error that occurred or something. Well, you can just, let's just say you would hand this project off to someone. well, they will immediately know your JavaScript is in a separate file, so they won't expect to be searching through code to find these on clicks or whatever. We'll talk a lot about these in future videos. So let's talk about the JavaScript file extensions. So in CSS, you can have a app.css, or you can have a style.css. Alright? So everything in CSS has a .css. In JavaScript, it's very similar. You have a .js extension. Alright? So all JavaScript files have a .js extension to define that the file is a JavaScript file. So if I was to put app.css as an extension, it will be read as a CSS file. Alright? So it will be read as a CSS file. But when let's just say put an app, so if I write correctly, app.html, well, it will be read as an HTML file. That's why knowing what each thing is written as, so .js, will define it as a JavaScript file. We don't want it to be else. But let's just say you want to write a short line in JavaScript, like the ones we've been writing so far, which was the alert. So this is what we've been writing so far. Alright, so if you want to write something like this, you can do it with the script tags, alright? Very simple. No need to have a separate, JavaScript file. So what is an alert? So an alert is a JavaScript function that outputs an alert to the browser, alright? So it outputs something to the browser. The alert function allows you to warn the user about any error that might have occurred, but the alert function is starting to not be used by many developers. Basically, the alert function is no longer being used. Like, I don't even use it, so I don't think you should be using it. But still, it's a good way to start with. So an alert looks like this, probably. Now, you will not have the exact same as this, so you might have something else here. But this is whatever you wrote inside of that. So, inside your alert, that's what you have, alright? And then OK, so if you're using Chrome, we'll dismiss it. Alright? So now there's better ways to write alerts now, instead of writing these. So yeah, but still good enough to know. Now let's don't try it yourself. So I want you to create an HTML file and write the following code inside of it. Then open your file in the browser by going to your File Explorer Finder and clicking the file. So when you open this file inside your browser, I hope that you get an alert box, right? Which should say 1, 2, 3, and then OK, right? If you do not get that, then I hope just rewrite this file. Like, mostly it should be an error around here. Alright? So let's learn from our errors. So instead of trying to output 1, 2, 3, let's try to output your name. So when we output our name, you want to write your name literally inside the parentheses, and let's see what happens when you run the file. Well, surprisingly enough, you got no alert. So when I actually got these errors before, I was very confused. Now the reason is because our name is a string. So a string is a type of data type which requires you to put quotes around it. Without quotes, it cannot read it. Alright? It reads it as a variable, which we will talk about in a future video. So, now, but this is not only true for an alert. This is true for all functions and methods you will learn. That is very important because you gotta know that this is a string. So you gotta tell it, hey, this is a string. Read it as a string, like it is. Alright? Very similar. Now, so when you open your browser, it should have worked. You should see your name, which is mine is Santa. So let's go move on. Now, how to link a JavaScript file. So let's just say you want to write a separate file. Well, first of all, you might have a folder structure that looks like this, index.html app.js, and then inside your browser, you want to write this. Basically, this source tells where to look for the file, and then you must have a closing tag because it's a JavaScript script tags, which always have closing tags. So you can use a script tag for multiple things in JavaScript, but in CSS, if you recall, so in CSS, the link was used to look for the file, and then you had the style tags if you wanted to write something. So let's test the Seperate JS file. So inside your JS file, you just want to put alert 123. I'm pretty sure, yeah, exactly. So if you did that correctly, you want to put alert 123, and you should see in this browser. Otherwise, just check your link tag or your JS file and see if you missed something. Alright? So let's do some review question. What is the best way to write JavaScript and explain it? Well, there's no best way. Alright? Instead, you want to keep it separate. The best way is to keep your files separate. Instead of writing them all in one, just keep it separate. Why am I unable to output my name without putting quotes on it? Because it's a string. So it's a string. Number 3. So it's a string data type, sorry. So data type. Number 3, what is a JavaScript file extension called? .js. Alright, very similar. Simple. So I hope you guys learned a lot from this video, and please leave a comment in the comment section below if you have any questions or anything that you think I should improve in my video, and I'll see you guys next lecture.